What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to a brand new video here on my YouTube channel. And for those of you that are new around here and don't know who I am, my name's Aaron and I create travel photography and videography based content here on YouTube. So if that is something that will interest you, be sure to subscribe to the channel. But as you can tell by the title today, I'm giving you my top 10 solo traveler tips for anyone who's not solo traveled before or anyone who just wants to learn a bit more about solo traveling, as I've done quite a bit of solo traveling now myself. And you can check out the series that I've posted so far, including my latest, which was the Croatia series, which was a solo trip. So I'm going to be using all the experience I gained from that to help you guys out in this video. So if you do find it useful at any point, be sure to let me know by leaving a like. Put any comments or questions down below in the comments section, or go and follow me on Instagram where you can ask questions over there. And as I said, check out the linked playlist on screen right now, which is my Croatia travel series. But let's just jump straight into the video. Okay, so I'm going to go in a bit of a logistical order, starting from the things that you kind of need to do first, and then working the way through the trip. And I'm actually going to start off with the planning process. So some of these first tips may be a bit obvious, but obviously a lot of people kind of avoid them. So the first one is mainly just do your research and have a plan. And obviously I've mentioned this many a times on my channel, if you do watch my travel videos, that you should have some kind of plan. And that's not just for yourself, that is mainly for the people back at home. And obviously it's kind of for yourself a bit, but it's mainly for your family, friends, people who love and care about you back at home, so they can have this peace of mind that they kind of know that you have at least some kind of structure to your trip. And then obviously they know whereabouts you are in case they need to contact you or anything like that. So having a plan not only gives you a bit of peace of mind of at least you have a rough idea of what you can go off, and then obviously if you meet new people whilst you're traveling, you can change your plans. But just having a rough guide, doing your research on where is good for solo travelers to go to, and then obviously letting your family know, your friends and stuff like that, so they know how you are doing and obviously how they can contact you. That is the first tip for any solo traveler. Now the next tip again is pretty obvious, but it is pack light. Now this goes for every type of traveler, but it is especially important for solo travelers because at the end of the day, you're going to get to a stage at some point in your trip where you will be completely on your own. And if you have a really heavy rucksack and you have a long walk, or you're not too familiar with where you are, or you need to catch a train or anything like that, no one is there to help you. Whereas if you're with people, you can kind of share the experience. If you're getting tired, they can potentially hold your bag for you, or if you need to go into a shop, and any type of situation where you need to have your bag just watched. If you're traveling with people, that is perfectly fine. You can just throw your bag on the floor and walk off and go to a shop or whatever. Whereas if you are traveling alone, your bag has to go with you everywhere you go. And that's, as I said, especially, you rarely notice it, to be honest, when you are on a travel day. So if you're going to a bus station and then you're getting on a bus, or you're waiting for a bus and there's not really much around, but you see a shop and you're thinking, oh, I'll just go in there, you realize you've got to take your bag in with you, and it gets draining, especially in warm conditions. So do pack light, it will save you so much during your trip. Now the next tip is for arriving in your destination. This is not just for when you first arrive for your trip, this is every single destination within your trip. Say you're going for 6 months, I recommend doing this every single time, and it is try to arrive during daylight hours, so essentially when it's light outside. And the reason for that is it makes it a bit easier to obviously navigate and find things, but you feel a lot more safer, especially as a solo traveler, when you're arriving in daylight. I arrived late at night in Bangkok, and I've never experienced Thailand before, and it seemed a bit shady, to be honest, purely because it was nighttime. If I arrived during the day, I probably would have felt a lot more comfortable, which I can actually compare to my Croatia trip, where I did arrive very early in the morning. Everything seemed very, very peaceful, very calm, and it was just a lot easier to figure things out because it is daytime. So you just felt a lot more comfortable with what you're doing. So I do recommend trying to arrive during daylight hours, just so you feel a bit more safe and a bit more relaxed with the whole situation, especially if it's a first time solo traveling for yourself. Now the next tip is to actually observe how everyone acts and how things kind of operate. This is mainly important for first time solo travelers because if you've not stayed in hostels or you've not solo traveled before, you don't really know how the whole thing works. And especially with hostels, the first time you walk into a hostel as a solo traveler, it's a bit of a weird experience. Unless you've done hostels loads of times in a group, then maybe not so much. But if you do walk into a hostel for the first time, it's a bit weird walking into the dorm. It's a bit weird figuring out the rules and how you kind of behave in a hostel and stuff like that, just to respect everyone else in the room. So just kind of take a few days, wherever your first trip is to, wherever your first destination is, just to kind of observe the people who are traveling, how they act, what they do in their days, and obviously the locals as well, because that will differ from country to country. It doesn't matter whether you've traveled for 2 years. If you go to a new country that you've never been to, this tip is also for you, because that country could have completely different etiquette, and if you don't respect that, then you're not going to have the best of times with the locals. So do observe how everything works, and you will benefit a lot more during your trip. Now, the next tip is to kind of put on a front, put on a face, be approachable and confident, even if you're not. Now, they work hand in hand, because if you come across as confident, then obviously no one's really going to try and scam you or bother you or hassle you. So maybe if you're walking through a market and you seem quite confident in the way you walk, the way you're acting, you're not like looking at your phone trying to figure out directions, no one's going to try and rip you off to get a taxi. No one's going to try and sell you things that you don't want. And then on the opposite side of things, if you act approachable, even if you're not, if you just kind of come across a bit more approachable, it's going to be a lot easier to make friends. And then that just makes the whole solo traveling experience a lot easier, because then you can share that experience pretty much straight away. Because solo traveling is good, but if you can't meet up with new people, and obviously making new friends is a great part of being a solo traveler. So if you do come across as approachable, that makes that aspect a lot easier. Now, if you ever feel lonely during solo traveling, there is a great option which not many people consider because of the price tag, or they just think it's for big groups of people, but join organized group tours. Now, the reason why I said that people think it's just for a load of people is because when you see group tours in the UK or group things, it tends to be like a group of 10, and you're probably going to get 10 people who know each other kind of thing. But when you're traveling, the groups are a lot larger. It could be like a group of 30 people. And I can guarantee you that probably 20 of them are solo travelers who just want an opportunity to meet up with other people. And whilst these day excursions or whatever it might be can actually be quite expensive, it's a great way to meet new people. At the end of the day, they're interested in the exact same thing that you're doing, and they're also travelers, because you don't get many locals doing these tours, because at the end of the day, it's in their home city, it's in their hometown. So you will meet travelers if you are feeling lonely by doing a group tour, which is a great option if you do feel that way. However, having said that, my next tip is to appreciate the downtime, the alone time that you do get during traveling as a solo traveler, because if you're meeting new people all the time, it can be very, very hectic. So maybe just every now and again, just to have a bit of alone time won't do you the world of harm. It's actually quite nice. You can relax. You can potentially have a hobby. If you have some type of hobby, then it gives you time to work on that. Maybe you just like reading, gives you time to read. If you like taking photos, you can edit your photos. Or if you need to, you can just phone home, or even just relax. Rest up is a great thing to do whilst you're traveling. Traveling can tire you out, so do appreciate the alone time that you do get as a solo traveler. Don't be afraid of it, just embrace it, and it will help you in the long term for your traveling. And as I just mentioned, my next tip is to have a hobby or interest that other people can relate to. Now, I mentioned a few like photography, reading, hiking, even YouTube, just anything like that. If you have something that's either interesting or relatable, then it does give you a conversation starter for a lot of people. If people see me vlogging, the amount of times people have seen me vlogging, they've asked, oh, do I vlog? Do I do YouTube? Do I do photography? If I've just got my camera out. And it's a great conversation starter, because they might either be interested or they might actually also do the same thing. And then it's just a great way to make a new friendship. And obviously, if you're just reading a book, you will not realize the amount of times that if you're just sat in a hostel reading a book, someone will probably have read that book, and then there's a straightaway conversation starter for you guys to just talk about. And you never know, you might make a new long-term friendship there, so you can carry on traveling together. So having an interesting or relatable hobby will help you out in the long term. Now, this seems like quite an obvious tip, but do always stay in hostels. The amount of solo travelers I've met or just heard of, seen on Facebook, anything like that, that have stayed in hotels or like private accommodation because they just feel a bit more safer. Yes, you might feel safer, but trust me, I was having this conversation with a friend the other day. I actually feel a lot more safer in a hostel, because at the end of the day, if anything goes wrong, there's a lot more people around you to help you out. And obviously, it's the social environment of staying in a hostel that will get you through solo trips, especially if you have the moments where you feel lonely as a solo traveler. Then there's tons and tons of people that can help you out who are probably going through the exact same thing. So if you do ever get that, just think, why am I staying in a private accommodation? Let's go and stay in a hostel. Even if you just try it once, I guarantee you that you will enjoy traveling a lot more if you don't already stay in hostels. And for those of you that do, you know exactly what I mean by it's the best option for travelers, especially solo travelers. Now, this is one that isn't utilized enough, and it is use social media and stuff like Facebook groups to actually meet up with people who are also traveling. There's a lot of groups on Facebook that are strictly for people who are traveling Europe, traveling Croatia, traveling Italy, traveling Greece, or even further afield, traveling Southeast Asia, Thailand. They have groups for continents, they have groups for individual countries, and obviously people just put on there, if anyone's in this area on this day and want to hang out or want to go to this place, just let me know, kind of thing. So you do obviously have to be aware, but most of the people in these groups are literally solo travelers who just want to, you know, experience whatever they're going to do with a couple of other people. So 9 times out of 10 it is very, very safe, but as I said, do be aware. But it is a great way to actually just try and see if there's anyone else who wants to do a similar thing to you, or even just get ideas for what you can actually do in a specific area or country during your trip. Now, another big concern for solo travelers that I see is eating alone, and to be fair, I was a bit like that when I took my first solo traveling trip. I was like, is it going to be weird to sit in a restaurant or even just a cafe and eat alone? Now, obviously, if you look like you're doing something, if you're on your phone, if you're keeping busy, then obviously not. People just kind of look away from it. But if you're in a restaurant on your own, it probably would feel as though it's a bit bizarre. But trust me, it's not. Me and my friend, as I said, were talking about this the other day, and it's actually a great way to actually just eat because no one's waiting on you. If you're taking forever to order something, who cares, you're on your own. If you're taking forever to finish your meal, who cares, you're on your own. Order as much food as you want, order as little food as you want. It's down to you. You can be there as long or as short as you want. You can choose exactly where you want to eat, exactly what you want to eat, whereas if you're in a big group environment, it can be quite difficult to figure these things out and cause quite a few arguments. So do embrace the fact that you can just eat alone and obviously pick exactly where you want to go every single time you want to eat something. It's a great perk of traveling solo, so don't use it as a negative. Look at the positive in the situation. And then finally, a tip that I use in quite a lot of my videos is just learn some basic key phrases in whatever language you are traveling to. This is especially important though for solo travelers because obviously if there's a group of you, you can kind of just get by without actually knowing any of the language, whereas if you are on your own and you need help from the locals because you don't really know anyone else kind of there, it's very, very difficult to get your point across or just kind of come up with a separate idea if you are literally on your own. Whereas if you're in a group environment, you can kind of bounce ideas off each other, or maybe someone else knows the local language. So if you are traveling solo, it's a big tip just kind of to bear in mind. You don't need to learn the whole language, but just a couple of key phrases just to make sure that you're safe and you can obviously communicate with the locals if they don't have any knowledge of the English language. So it's a great thing to do, especially if you are going further afield to somewhere like Southeast Asia. It's just something that you do need to bear in mind. But that is all for this video. I hope you did find some of the tips useful. These are just some of the things that I've learned along the way in my solo traveling experiences. If you have any tips that you want to share with anyone else, be sure to leave them down in the comment section. As I said, if you did find this video useful at any point, be sure to let me know by leaving a like. Also, subscribe to the channel if you do like videos like this, and check out all of my other traveling videos that will be linked down below in the description, or just check out the videos on my channel as you wish. But thank you all for watching, guys. Until next time, goodbye.